recording right now. Yeah, I'm recording right now. So
Perfect.
if you need to cut any part of it, once I send it to you, you can do it whatever you like. Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I'm going to start with the greetings to thank you for being here. So, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And I want to thank our speaker from today, who is Igor Madzov. And I would really like, Igor, to ask you to introduce yourself and to tell us a little bit more about the wonderful work you have been doing in Macedonia. So again, thank you so much for being here and making the time.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Andrea, and thank you for the invitation. My name is Igor Madzov. I'm an investment facilitator for the Western Balkans Swiss Entrepreneurship Program as part of Swiss Contact. And for the past 10 years, I'm working with entrepreneurship programs and investments. Been working myself in the investment world for the past 6 years. I wanted to know more because I did raise some funding on my own for my previous businesses from angel capital, and understood how difficult it is for startups. So that's why I pursued a career in venture capital, was managing a portfolio of companies in Southeast Europe for more than 3 years, and did some investment myself of something more than 40 million were invested through the activities we did with South Central Ventures, the fund I was working with. And afterwards, as part of Swiss CP activities, we helped a lot of companies get to funding. In the past year, we understood how big the gap is of and the difference between raising capital for startups and the education that was lacking on the side of angels. So kind of the reason why I'm here, and while we'll go in details with Andrea about the Western Balkans investment community and the angel activities in creating angel clubs, was exactly that. To educate early stage investors on how to make the most of their first efforts to invest in a startup, and also to educate startups on how to approach early stage investors.
Thank you so much, Igor. So I would like to ask you to tell us a little bit more about the landscape of angel investment in North Macedonia and the Western Balkans, how it is.
Yeah, so when we were discussing before, I found so much similarities between Guatemala and Macedonia. Being a small country, we are much smaller than Guatemala. So I'm coming from a country of something more than 2 million population. It's a landlocked country surrounded by Greece, Bulgaria, Serbia, and others. So all of the countries surrounding us are much bigger than us. Therefore, the ecosystem there was supposed to be more developed, but I would say not that much. We are not in European Union, so we don't have all this extensive access to funding opportunities. So I would say 5 years ago, when I was starting with the VC fund and looking at the landscape of angels, I would say that angel activity was very sporadic. There was a case by case. There was nothing organized. There was some interest from individuals who were saying they're angels much more than they're being angels. So there would be more of those show-offs of people that go on events and telling how amazing their investments are. But in general, we didn't have an investment culture, because coming from a post-communist socialistic country that was Yugoslavia, we didn't have the system of angel investing, or everything was centralized with the government, and private capital was not so much forced, and people were not having free will to invest their capital. So I would say that's the landscape that we had. Right now, what we're still experiencing is a lot of education. We have in the country one registered angel club. In the other regions that I'm working with, we are trying to establish some kind of clubs or initiatives where certain individuals, I would say entrepreneurs that went through the path 10 plus years in the business, would like to dedicate some of their time, some of their resources, and some of their money and invest it in the new generation of entrepreneurs. And this is where we are right now. So not very developed. There are many initiatives that we have started on education side, on lobbying, with some changes to the government that needs to be in place in order to be more in favor of the climate for starting angel investing.
Thank you so much, Igor. And you talked about like the startups or the founders that have been successful or have been on track for a couple of years now becoming angel investors. So I wanted to ask you, you have been on both sides of the coin. You have been an investor and you have received investment. Can you tell me what are the drivers or motivators for people to become angel investors?
Yeah, so this is the very thing we actually start with that whenever I'm talking to a new person. Being an angel investor, it's a different for different people. And there might be different drivers and the reason why somebody is entering in that in position. So in one is a fact, there is a person with disposable income or there is enough funding that he would like to invest in some venture. So whenever that person is in that position, I'm asking him, okay, why would you like to actually do beside of just investing? For some people, it's only about making more money. They are putting, let's say, $20,000 into a business, and they're expecting that to grow with an interest rate or actually with multiplication much bigger than the interest rates in banks and other type of financial instruments because it's a risky business and they're expecting much more return. But I've seen that in most cases, it's about actually giving back. It's about actually supporting the community, about identifying someone that really has the drive, and it's very similar to the path that this person, this investor, has gone through years, and understanding that they can shorten the time to their success with their experience, with their resources, with their funding, and achieve that in a much quicker way. So for some people, I'm asking, maybe it's because they want to be seen in the ecosystem. They want to be visible as somebody who is supporting. So the other part is making money. We mentioned that as first. The third one is going to be they want to be close to the best talent. Because when you're investing, when you're actually working with innovative people, you're actually getting to some information, some technology, and some that is not being discussed in different circles. So this is the reason, being very much in line with the new developments. If you want to be on the cutting edge of technology, you want to be associated with interesting people. And very interesting enough, talking with many people, investors in Switzerland, it was about actually contributing to the well-being of the world. They want to make a better impact, and they want their name to be associated with that type of impact. So it's always about what are the drivers, and it doesn't have to be only one, but there has to be at least one that it's just more than the money. Because if you're in it only for the money, you will probably get disappointed because there are many sacrifices that usually investors make in favor of their investees or of the companies they invest in, because you need to focus on how much effort you put in, how many hours a week you are able to contribute. Do you want to be a very small shareholder or a large portion of the company? What you feel comfortable with? Do you want to have the decision power, or more laid back in the back and just giving advices? So these are some of the differences in approach and why it's important to kind of go through this exercise. And we have this as part of the education process, an exercise to determine what are the drivers and what actually drives angels in the specific group.
Thank you so much, Igor. And now I want to ask you about the other side of the coin. What was your experience raising angel capital as a startup?
Oh, so I started raising capital very early. I was 25 when I started raising angel capital, and I found that all all things that I had envisioned were actually wrong. So I thought that just because I would have the best idea from my peers, that somebody will come in saying, Igor, you're amazing. Here is a check to $100,000. Well, it doesn't function that way. Usually, it's about building the trust, about building the relation with this person. As I mentioned, these people, these investors have different drivers, and understanding what their driver is in the specific situation really helps on understanding who is the right type of investor. I have to say, in one of the ventures, I had one of the best mentors and a person that helped me a lot to grow. And on the other venture, I had a person that was there in for the money and was really looking for a way to get me out of the way because he wanted to get someone else. So from one of the business, we had a success. The other business was a failure. So raising angel capital is hard no matter where. Are you in Guatemala, in Macedonia, in US, UK? It's just about determining the value this company brings and the trust that you are actually able to deliver on the promises. And maybe in the US, that works a little bit better because there are much more chances. Let's say that way. They believe there is much more chances, and they're getting into risk much more. In my country and all this region, people are very much analyzing and getting into details before actually jumping into the conclusion. So for startups, it's always difficult to fundraise, but it's sometimes becoming very easy if you're very clear where you want to go, how you're going to do it. If you have all the resources aligned and a clear vision, that truly helps in finding the right type of investor.
Thank you so much. And I think it's really interesting the comparisons that you have proposed between Guatemala and Macedonia, because I think we face very similar challenges. So it's really interesting to be able to discuss this with you, because I think you guys have moved forward from a situation that was very similar to the one that Guatemala is in now, to a more advanced placement in the market. Like, you have active networks and clubs of investors. You are moving forward with education, both for entrepreneurs and for investors as well. So I think it's really, really interesting for me to see, okay, we can get there, you know? And so my next question would be, what to expect, or what could we tell people that they are going to be expecting when they become angel investors?
This is also part of one of the exercises, and it's about commitment of a certain angel. Part of the vision or why you are entering is also how much committed you want to be when becoming an angel investor. And we have seen, because there is not so much activity or know-how on being an angel investor. Usually, angel investors were very suffocating on the side of suffocating the founders, being there all the time, asking reports, trying to kind of micromanage things. But basically, with angel investing is that you're providing the layer of support that the founder doesn't have. And if you believe that they will succeed, this is when you actually jump in with your resources. So the resources as an effect doesn't have to be all this micromanaging. And we've seen, for example, founders that after some period have said to the investor, we actually like more of your engagement or even less of your engagement. But something that is a bare minimum, and what you should expect, is that you need to train your investees that they need to have a reporting system, at least once a month have a meeting with them. Usually if you have more than 20% in the company, you're kind of having a board or a seat at the board because you are a significant shareholder. On the other side, on how much time you should spend, usually when you're structuring a deal or you're entering in the deal, and when you're working on the next phase or refinancing, then you're spending the most time. Other than that, I've seen angels that spend as little as 1 hour a month just looking over the details. And something that is very important to mention, for a very early stage ecosystem, we advised for joint investment, more than one investor to get on the round. Because if you have, let's say, three people joining with $10,000 in a round that is $30,000, you have three times the time to spend and three times the heads to think about a certain problem. At the same time, it's easier. A different time might be more difficult because they have to align. But in that cases, we always advise that between those three investors, there is only one spokesperson that sits on the board and kind of speaks on behalf of these three. So time-wise, it's something that requires from as little as 1 hour to, let's say, 20 hours a month in some cases. We have seen much more, but this is where it's a more strategic investor and when there is opportunity for opening new markets.
Thank you so much. And I think you have responded my next question with this response, which is, what are the key learnings for angel investors? So I don't know if you would like to add something else in there, because I think your previous answer was really insightful.
Yeah, so the inside, definitely the part of co-investing is it's something that needs to be explored. When you are a first time doing this, consult as much as possible with people that have done it, engage with the so-called clubs. We've seen that not necessarily there needs to be a formal structure of a fund or a club investing together. Having a more loosely type of structure of people trusting each other is sometimes much better than having everything structured. Some of the learnings are that, yeah, being too much hands-on is sometimes counterproductive. So you need to kind of leave the founder to breathe, to iterate and make changes, because something that was planned at the beginning might not be the case. In two of the angel rounds that we have facilitated, actually the companies, it's went much better when they changed totally the business model some weeks after the investment, and this was a huge like red flag. Oh my God, they're changing the business model. I invested my money, now I'm never going to see them. And then on the other side, some of the learnings we had is never invest your savings. So if you have some savings, never invest more than 10% of the savings, because then you will be very much anxious about all the decisions that you are going to make. And it takes at least 3 to 7 rounds to actually make an exit. So it's not just about actually making the first investment, it's also about planning what are the fundings necessary for this company for the next 3, 5, 7 years. And that's why sometimes you will make 7, 8 investments, but it will be just 2 or 3 companies, because you're investing in the next round, in the next round, in the next round, and being prepared for that from the very early stage is really kind of helping. I will stand by that. If you have some more questions, I'm happy to answer, Andrea.
Thank you so much. So my next question is, what are the key benefits people could expect from becoming an angel investor? Like I would say that you have experience and that you have seen other angel investors experience as well.
Well, benefits. Well, I don't know how exactly it's in your country, but at the beginning, angels didn't want it to show themselves. They didn't want to say, I'm the angel investor, because they will be associated, oh, here is a rich person, he has money, I will go to him and ask for money, or I will send some of the administration to look into his business. But that was actually kind of the thinking behind all the people, but never the reality. The fact that angel investors are, I mentioned, the benefit is they're getting in touch with some of the freshest, newest idea in town. And the opportunity to actually be in touch with that type of people working on really much innovative businesses gives you a chance. Of course, it's a risky business, but gives you a chance to actually do a lot of multiplication on your resources. Just a very easy example. We have people, if you are into the ICT world and you have your developers and you have, for example, an infrastructure that you can plug in a certain business, then by just committing certain developers to create the solution, to actually make the solution more closer to the request of the market, we're going to save the startup, I would say, months of work, and also provide them with resources to get to a point where they will start generating revenue much quicker. On the other side, being the one that is promoting a very interesting business to the existing customer base that you have, it's also very, very good. Imagine saying, and I have said that, I'm working with one very excellent startup. I would like you to investigate how you can collaborate. They are great. You're opening doors to them at the same time making revenues to yourself. So this is kind of the benefits I see. Of course, bringing your open mind to the table and working with other angel investors gives opportunity for networking and doing much more business with other angels or other entrepreneurs that are on the same level as yours. And that's why we encourage in the club so-called investor meetups or networking, where you would have 3 or 4 companies presenting at the beginning of the event, and then afterwards it will be a dinner, like a meetup between those people. They're discussing the opportunities, talking about business, just enjoying their time as it kind of gets away from their everyday job, but at the same time, they're talking business and they're exploring new ideas.
Thank you so much. And I think this intertwines a lot with my next question, which is about, could you tell us a little bit more about angel support networks and structures, how they work, what you guys have been doing, and the wonderful dynamics that you guys have observed in these angel networks?
Yeah. So I mentioned at the start, we have multiple of activities that we initiated in the Western Balkans. But it's very hard to kind of force people to join together and invest money. So it has to come kind of, I will not say naturally, but it has to come out from the same point of interest. So in 2 countries, we have a so-called registered angel clubs, where there were previously business clubs or owners of businesses that were discussing their business opportunities and decided, let's join together, educate ourselves, and if there is an opportunity, we look at it as a whole, as a club, and we invest together if somebody is interested. So I would say that until it comes to the point of formalization, the main thing that needs to exist is a trust between several entrepreneurs who are inspiring enough to attract new members to come under the same umbrella. Let's call it that way. And for that very reason, we actually initiated back in 2020 the Angel Academy, which was an online angel academy, a Western Balkans angel academy with 5 angels from 5 countries. So in total, we had 25 angel investors, all of them entrepreneurs, some of them serial entrepreneurs who committed time and said that they would like to commit money to invest in startups. So the education process kind of got them through 7 weeks of training until they understood what they need to do. Also iterations with due diligence process and real life examples, real pitching events, etc., etc. This is sometimes something that I would say that it's very good for as a start to kind of explore the opportunities for people to get together and get more serious about this, because still, if you don't have somebody that is managing the operational side, it's still some commitment. Somebody has to go through the companies, analyze the pitch decks, work with the startups, arrange everything, unify the models, organize the pitching session. So this is the reason why you would have organized club. There would be people that will organize this, and the angels being able to get after that. The third part will be, of course, if there is an opportunity that the angels would like to contribute their own funding and become part of the limited partners in a so-called fund. So everybody puts their own money into this fund, and the fund starts investing on behalf of the angels. Of course, the angels can on top of that invest their own money. We have seen that structures. Currently, we don't have such structure in our region. We are trying to create, but to be honest, the best thing to start is getting together, start talking to each other, get engaged with startups, organize some pitching events. In that way, you will see the pulse on how fast or where you should go. And of course, if there is any type of grants or funding available for this specific purpose, if you can explore and use it in your benefit, you should do that.
Thank you so much. And well, you were discussing a little bit about the investment readiness programs and angel academies that you were running. Could you tell us, aside from the ones that you mentioned already, what were some key learnings from them? And if we wanted to implement a similar process in Guatemala, what should we keep in mind?
Yeah, so I would say that it's best if you would have it in parallel as a pilot, one shorter version of the Angel Academy and also the investment readiness program. You go in parallel because you can educate the angels on one side and actually prepare the startups for pitching to the angels at the end. And then when they meet, they will have the actual case to analyze a certain pitch or a certain company. They vote between each other. We had that as an exercise. The good thing is to have a range of companies with an ask that is similar to the opportunities on the angel. Why I'm mentioning that is because we had it in one program startups that were asking too much money, and then angels that were not able to fulfill the round. So even though we had a very good match, there was not a match between the ask and the demand and the supply. So I would say that if there is, for example, angels that are looking to invest between $30,000 or $50,000, and there should not be companies asking more than $100,000, so that few of them can join and fulfill the round, so you would have some success. Other than that, some learnings were that it takes time. So even if you don't do it at the first try, you need to continue. The beautiful thing is that all the people that got together on the first program wanted to engage in something more afterwards. It didn't actually create clubs in the specific countries, but out of 5 countries, we have now in 3, which is a great success. So in your case, as one Guatemala, having one club or a few cities that have their own business clubs and then come together into something kind of like Guatemala Angels would be something interesting to explore.
Thank you so much. And my final question, which I think it's the trickiest one, is can we discuss a little bit about the public policies necessary to foster investment? Because that's a humongous challenge in Guatemala, and I'm sensing it was a challenge as well in Macedonia.
Oof, that's a challenge that we still are pounding, and we're still trying to make it more favorable. as I would say, we've seen many companies that get to some success, and the moment they were looking for funding, they were actually attracted by either another country near to us or going to some of the developed hubs, such as Europe, UK, or Berlin. In your case, let's say Mexico or US, and you would like actually for the companies to stay here and of course benefit from the capital within Guatemala. But there should be changes, and this is the reason why the organized group can help a lot. With the group that we had in North Macedonia, we were actually able to make some legal changes and implementation of a so-called convertible loan as a mechanism to invest in startups. Until now, we didn't have that. We have many open questions, kind of how actually you're, as a minority shareholder, you will be actually registered in the central registry. And all these exercises we needed to do in order for the administrative employees to understand that this is a common practice. It's not something that you are doing something illegal or you are actually doing it wrong. But just it's a new thing and it takes time. So the changes that we started were actually 2 years ago. We had some angels behind us. We made some research on how this can contribute to the economy, and basically concluded that the angels can really boost the local businesses. They can be the provider of financing, the finances that are lacking, or the finances that are unable for the companies to get from the banking system. And even more, the know-how that is really, I would say, scarce in some of the developing countries, and help create more businesses. So therefore, we said to the government, we need to somehow foster this and emphasize how important it is. We talked about some kind of systems for subsidizing them, and they were like, oh, whoa, subsidization or anything that we need to give to this group is too early. Let's start step by step. First about the government learning about angel investing, and then about actually the benefits. Once there is few successful cases, I believe it takes time. But in parallel, this is inevitable. If you would like to have a functional angel ecosystem or investment ecosystem, there needs to be some changes, and that's kind of the striving for all the successful companies, successful countries that already have implemented this. We are comparing, for example, with Bulgaria or Greece, the ones that are next to us, or maybe you're comparing to Mexico. They're always something that they have done better, or something that they have done wrong, and you can skip that and do it faster. So, but there needs to be a will from the side of the government, and there needs to be some actors, Andrea, Swiss Contact, and many others that comes together and kind of unite under one voice and start speaking on behalf of the investors.
Thank you so much. And I think what you mentioned is really important, like to speak on behalf of the investors and to have like a really clear understanding of what is needed to talk to the public sector. I think we have right now an openness from the public sector to actually get into these discussions and really understand what changes are needed. But as you mentioned, it's going to be a slow process that we still have to work through in order to make it work. But thank you so much for answering all of these wonderful questions. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. And we will definitely be contacting you for further questioning and also to understand how things are moving forward in Macedonia. So thanks again for being here. And also I wanted to ask, is it okay if I post your LinkedIn with this video so people can contact you?
Yeah, feel free to join me. I was part of few international groups and also part of Founders Institute program for setting up angel funds and venture capital funds. So this is something that I find a great pleasure at, developing ecosystem and also creating instruments in investing in startups. I would really be happy if Andrea can at the next session bring some more people, so it's not just the two of us that are talking on this topic. So we'll have some more interactive discussions. I know it was very helpful for me whenever we were bringing somebody that has gone through the from the process. Like we would bring somebody closer to us. Like Slovenia is 3 to 5 years ahead of where is North Macedonia, and then Switzerland is 7, and then you have US that is when it's 20. So for us, for example, talking with US investor was not very relatable. It was much more relatable talking to someone that is going to show us how with a few steps we can get ahead of the curve and actually excel much quicker rather than losing faith that we'll get ever to where is this huge economy.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much again, and you have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Andrea. Looking forward to see everyone, and hopefully soon even in live.
Hopefully. Alrighty. So I think we can pause the recording.
Yeah, great. And let me just stop that. Email, yes.